showing out, making moves, no doubt. FFA pride, it's what we're all about. From classroom dreams to real world flair, we got the stories you won't find anywhere. Beyond the jacket where the stories unfold, voices of the future, fearless and bold. Tune in now, let the passion ignite. It's more than a jacket, it's a way of life. Beyond the jacket where passion meets purpose.
Hey guys, welcome back to the Beyond the Jacket podcast. We are so excited to have you here listening to another episode on this Friday. We have a fantastic guest. Miss Savannah is going to tell us about her SAE through agriculture communications and her love for the blue jacket. Hey Savannah, why don't you introduce yourself to our listeners?
Okay, hi guys. My name is Savannah Stahl. I am a 16-year-old from Illinois. I'm a part of the Lewistown FFA chapter, and I just got elected as their secretary. And a little bit about me is I just discovered the jacket the end of my 8th grade year. I've been doing that since my freshman year. I'm going to be an upcoming junior soon, and I just can't wait to be on the podcast and discuss everything.
Yeah, thanks for coming on, girl. I'm excited to learn about your FFA journey, kind of where you started and where you are now. Talk to me about how you got started in agriculture. Was it because of your blue jacket or maybe family history?
So I started in the blue jacket because my mom grew up as a city girl. She's out of Peoria, Illinois. And then my dad grew up as very much a farm boy from Astoria, Illinois. So once they met growing up, I always had livestock growing up where I was little enough. I don't remember caring for it as much, but I remember we had horses, we had cows, chickens, ducks. I know he raised hogs when he was younger. But then around COVID time, we moved to a new house just closer in town just for a multitude of reasons. And then we were doing an assembly, actually my 8th grade year, and the FFA officer team came in, and they just had a fun day with us. We did a bunch of party games. They're just discussing what FFA is, and I was just thinking, I got to figure out what this is because this sounds really cool. And then I knew one of my friends who was a freshman at the time. She was in it, and I was like, okay, all these cool people keep wearing these blue jackets. I really got to figure out what this is. So I joined Intro to Ag my freshman year, and then I got to learn more from my advisor what FFA really was, and it has been one of my favorite activities since, and I could not imagine my life without FFA now.
I don't think I could imagine my high school years without FFA. It was kind of my lifeline through that time. I think it's unique that your story started at a school assembly. There's a lot of kids that come on the podcast that are like, oh yeah, my parents were in FFA, or I found it out of the blue. A counselor put me in there, all the different stories. But I think that officer team did their job as far as recruitment when it applies to you. Take me back to the beginning. What's the moment that made you realize that agriculture needed an additional voice?
I think one thing that made me realize agriculture needed an additional voice is because I've always been such a talkative person. I never shut up. I love to talk about everything and anything, and I love to speak my opinions about said things. But out of all the activities I do between volleyball and band and stuff, there's not really a way to express my voice through that. And then just further throughout my FFA career, I learned about public speaking. So this last March, I competed in public speaking. And then also throughout everything with my Ag Comms SAE, I've just slowly discovered how much one voice can truly make a difference. And I've just loved that throughout the jacket. And I've loved being able to make my voice heard so much and being able to make everyone else feel seen through my voice.
Absolutely, girl. I switched schools in 7th grade and joined FFA. And I really didn't have a voice at that time. I mean, obviously we all have a voice, but as far as vocally, megaphone and really reaching individuals beyond my small community, and FFA helped me do the same thing as well. Talk to me a little bit about your leadership position in FFA, how that works, what made you want to take the additional step as being secretary.
I'd say my biggest thing is I always want to try to be a leader in what I do because I want people to look up to me. And as my mom's always told me, she always wants us to do better than she has. So I always like to apply the same thing to my chapter. Whatever I do, I want anyone I know or anyone to follow me to achieve so much more and so much greater. But through this leadership position as secretary, I'm able to oversee my chapter way more, be able to be more of a voice for my chapter and even for my section for some things. I know one thing I thought was really neat was to get some representation for our chapter. Is this last state convention, I played in the band and drumline. So that
Oh,
was
that's so cool.
really fun because we'd have members do the band before, and I'm a drummer, and I found out about drumline, and I was like, no one in our chapter's done this. So I was like, you know what? We'll just try this, see what happens. And I got to play with the drumline. But also just through almost any activity I do, I love to be a leader. I want people to know they have someone who can look up to them, someone who will listen to them, someone who sees them, no matter what, the good, bad, and the ugly. But I've just always wanted to be that voice and that outlet for people. And then being secretary and also through my SAE has allowed me to do that so much more.
Absolutely. I think that is so cool that you were part of the drum line. I am not musically inclined. I can't carry a tune in a bucket, or play an instrument, but those hidden talents of some of our FFA members, I mean, talent is a huge competition across our nation that a lot of individuals and even students don't know about. So I think that's a great lesson for our listeners, Savannah, that you brought up. If it's a diversified path within the Blue Jacket that might not be so much about agriculture, but it also teaches important skills. You talk a lot about your SAE. I can tell you love it. So
Yeah.
let's go ahead and just dive into it. Tell us from the 3,000 level view all the way down until the grain of sand.
Okay. So a lot of people in my chapter, I had seen them working on AET, because we started doing AET in my ag class, and I was like, what is this? Kind of looks like torture, but it kind of sounds like fun. And I had heard a lot of people were doing land management. Some people were doing equine science. And I was like, not really coming from a strong agriculture background. I would love to do an SE, but there is nothing I feel like I would be good at or that interests me or pertains to me. And I've always been a really creative person. If we're going to do a slideshow for anything for school, I am whipping out Canva immediately. And I have a blast creating all that stuff. And I had heard from a few friends from Illinois FFA, I had found that agriculture communications was one. And I'd only ever seen people do podcasts of it. And I'm like, I don't know if I'd be that good of a person to do podcast. Then I learned some people also did a blog or account type style of an AgComms SAE. And I was like, I think this is something I could do because I love to create. I love to share laughs. I have no shame laughing at myself. I'll post about anything and anything, talk about whatever, love to connect with people. And I was like, I think I found the one I need to do. But so I started that, I'm pretty sure May 2025. And that was pretty slow for a few months. And I think around that 5-month mark, I finally hit about 500 followers. And I was realizing how many people were actually watching me and how many people cared to watch me and honestly found an interest in what I was interested in. And so this 2 weeks ago, I just hit 1,000 followers on said account. I think have over 150 posts. I've gotten so many features from it. I've met such amazing people from it across the US, whether it's officers on the national, state, section, or chapter level, and just members themselves. And it's been such an amazing outlet for me, being able to share my voice, share my creativity, have a laugh once in a while, and just be genuine with my audience and just show them not everything has to be like the farmer route, because if I go tell an older generation farmer I'm posting on Instagram as an agriculture project, he would probably think I'm crazy. But it's just genuinely one of my favorite things. I get to show up every day, talk to amazing people every day, and just create so much amazing information and just spread so much about agriculture and FFA and everything that happens within it.
Absolutely, girl. I agree with you on so many of those points. I think your project's fantastic to be able to amplify the voice of agriculture. My mom always said when I started my project that the older generation of agriculturalists were taught to be humble. So if you owned land, cattle, hogs, sheep, I don't know, wheat, corn, soybeans, all of that kind of stuff, like there is economic value in it. And they were taught to be humble and not talk about what they had because it was considered bragging at some point, as far as the social standard. Well, I think this next generation of agriculturalists, especially through the Blue Jacket, have learned that if we don't stand up for agriculture, if we aren't the voice for our industry, we won't have an industry. Yeah. And I think that's something that has made SAEs like yours, Savannah, so special because you get to play a huge role in amplifying the voice of farmers and ranchers. Like 2% of us feed 100% of us. And that's a really impressive statistic that a lot of individuals might not really understand. Um, but being able to break that down, maybe even through a funny, short type of um, content or even a static to show your creativity, all of those different things while they employ your passion, they're also educating. So I think you hit two birds with one stone there. Why did you name your SAE Ag Awareness Avenue? Is there a story behind that?
So genuinely, there was no story behind it. Honestly, it's just I wanted something that conveyed the agriculture side of it because clearly FFA is a pretty recognizable thing. Anyone's posting in the jacket, you see blue and gold, your head immediately goes to FFA. But I've just like if I name anything, I just love something like with letters flow. So I was like ag, a. What else rhymes with a? I want to bring light to something. Awareness, ag awareness. I feel like I need another word. I'm like trying to think of anything. I'm like, Ag Awareness Avenue? And I'm like, I thought of it. And honestly, that first few months of school, I feel like I was very critiqued for it, very much saying it was a cringy or just it sounded very funny. But genuinely, it's one of the most recognized things I feel like in the FFA ag comms world anymore. And I've never been told or commented on it once on my ag page. So genuinely, that's how it came to be. Not a crazy story.
No, I get it. My SAE was called Front Page Ag because my name is Paige, and I liked front page news, and I felt that agriculture needed to be on the front page of the
That's awesome.
newspaper. Is kind of my thought process, play on words there.
Yeah.
And like you said at the beginning, oh, there's Front Page Ag walking down the hallway, and you're like, man, this is embarrassing.
Yeah.
But the individuals in other places were like, dang, this content creation gal, this social media page is really amplifying the voice of agriculture.
Yeah.
And I watched a reel the other day, actually, and it was, I think it was Cowgirl 30 Under 30. I don't know if you follow them.
I
And
recognize the name.
one of the gals on there was like, your Instagram or your Facebook wasn't meant for your sister, your brother, your cousins, your classmates. It was meant for the world. So what
Yeah.
one person says to you or teases you about, that's theirs to deal with. You are meeting and exceeding worldwide like expectations. So
Yeah.
hopefully you take that like I did and continue to raise awareness, not a play on words, no pun intended, for agriculture. Do you find yourself covering certain content more than the other? Do you like focusing on FFA, maybe animal production? Is there a certain avenue you like to talk about more?
I feel like at the moment, just because I'm on summer and I have a break from most of my homework, because I am also a dual credit student, so I'm in 2 college classes right now.
Me
But
too.
no, but so during summer, I feel like I tend to focus a little bit more on FFA and I try to post a little bit more frequently while I have the time, but still keep everything scheduled enough to where I'm not posting something every day. But once we get back to school, I generally will talk about anything. If it's like National Corn Day, I did a post about how corn gets from the field to the table, some processes in between that. I've talked about GMOs before. I've talked about branding one time. But generally, anything that comes up, or if I see a misconception about anything, I try to bring some light to it. So,
Yeah, absolutely. I always like to pay attention to the news. If there was like something going on the news and there was a lot of misinformation or maybe just misunderstanding, I was like, you know what? I could talk about this. And even if I didn't know the answers, I could do the research to inform me and others. And Savannah, you said you did public speaking. That was probably one of the things that helped me the most. Like when it came to questions, I was researching to do my post online, which also helped me gain my own knowledge. What public speaking contest did you do?
I did prepared public speaking, and I generally didn't know what topic to talk about. So, once again, I discussed my SAE. And I had an older audience when I did the speech, and I was truthfully not prepared at all. Very stressful week. I had my whole speech on note cards, tried not to look as much as I could, but I ended up placing really well. So I was thankful I went because I was honestly very much debating whether going or not.
Sometimes it just takes a leap of faith and you can do it. Is there ever been a point when you've created your content, whether it was serious, very educational, or maybe kind of the funny, real world, authentic side of your content, that you've seen a change in your analytics there? Like, do you see that more people resonate with you being funny or educational?
I feel like I posted a lot of stuff when state convention got done. And realistically, once we were going through our newly elected officer stuff, we were going through and we had to choose a word of the year. And so some of my officers, some of them knew their word right away. Some of us were looking up fancy words just to try to be cool. And I honestly was just staring at my laptop for a minute. And I'm like, I don't even need to look up anything. And I typed in authentic. And it just came so naturally to me and so quickly to me. And I was like, now that I am embodying this word this year for my chapter, I want to embody this word even further for my SAE. Because so much stuff online and on the internet anymore is so fake, filters, edited, everyone trying to be perfect and fit in. But that's what makes nothing stand out. Because if everything looks the same and sounds the same, there's nothing original and nothing fun about it anymore. So that's where I love to post educational stuff. I love to post goofy stuff. We'll do some memes once in a while, just some relatable topics, and just a little dive into what I do in my daily life. But realistically, I just like to get every aspect of it because some people only show one side of a story.
No, I agree with you. I think it's great. I've definitely learned that on the podcast, trying to be perfect or have the perfect outline or say all the right things, you know? But
Yeah.
if you look back, some of our better content is when I am laughing because a student has the most hilarious road trip story. Or maybe there's one where a guest gave a prepared public speech and the title was something way out of the box. It's those times of authenticity where it's normal and you're like, oh yeah, it's a breath of fresh air, kind of like you were saying. Sometimes the narrative is always shiny and pretty, and we know in our line of work with agriculture industry, it's not always shiny or pretty. You balance sports, FFA, band, school, college classes. How do you do it all without being burnout?
I genuinely don't a lot of the time. I know I'm a big OCD person, and if you know me at school, I have the gigantic planner, color-coded, highlighted, everything you need to know is in there. But genuinely, it's just, I have to figure out where do I need to put my time. If I have this much energy, it's better to do a little bit now than just not at all, because I always like to say, like, a little bit of progress is better than nothing. If I'm slowly moving towards finishing a college assignment, it's still, if I'm taking little steps, that's better than nothing. But same thing with volleyball is I chunked out my time for today. It's like for this interview, I scheduled my time for this. I know my volleyball times. I know my other podcast times. So then in between stuff, I can figure out when to eat lunch, when to schedule some content, when to work on some homework. It's just a lot of time management and being strict and disciplined when I need it.
Absolutely. I think that's a skill that FFA teaches that they don't talk about. It's kind of one of those skills you'll learn on the fly, but if you don't have a planner, I have no idea how you're surviving. I was also a color-coded planner, like a manual one, the paper one, as well as one online, all of the reminders, all the things, because I couldn't do it without it. I always ask students that come on the podcast if there was a younger individual that wanted to go down the same path as you, Savannah, do in agriculture, education, communications, SAE, what's a piece of advice that you would give them?
I would tell them to just start with it. It's going to start small, but nothing that turns into something big is going to jump that immediately. I would just say take that first step. Don't be scared to do it because you would be shocked, because I'm from a tiny town, Lewistown, and I have reached out and talked to so many people, and I genuinely didn't think I'd ever leave my small town. So realistically, just giving them that advice from what I've learned, I would just say jump into it. If you're a little scared, that's okay, because if you're not scared, I'd be surprised, honestly. I would just say take that first step into it. Don't be scared of it. Just be you. If you're going to do an AdComs essay, don't try to be fake, because fake nobody resonates with, and then there's nothing special about it, and we don't get to see what you bring to the table or what's special about you compared to everyone else. But
no, I think those are all great pieces of advice. That was kind of like a twofer there. I got two in one. No, I I totally agree. Jumping in with both feet and being completely and utterly you, because that's who people connect with. And I think that's such great advice. As you move on through your high school journey and maybe even into college, maybe collegiate FFA, do you see this SAE continuing?
I say definitely once I graduate high school, I plan on going to chiropractic school.
Oh,
But
cool.
if I have the time, I would love to keep posting about everything and anything FFA. Even if I'm not still actively a member, I still have so many stories I can share. There's so many people you can still talk to. But I would like to keep it going as long as I can. And if we shift to maybe more of my personal life and I still talk about FFA once in a while, hopefully my audience would understand that. And if they want to stay for it, that's their choice or not. I will not be hurt anyway. But I would love to keep it going as long as I can.
Absolutely. Nope. To be able to continue it in the best way possible, even if it's not a post every day like it is now or a post every other day. I'm not quite sure how your content's set up, but it's still being a voice when you can for agriculture, I think, is so important, and standing up for the kids in the blue jacket as well as our industry and moving forward with that. Savannah, thank you so much for coming on Beyond the Jacket podcast. It was so nice to meet you. Listeners, I hope you resonate with her message and go follow her SAE so you can amplify her voice in our agriculture industry. We'll see you again next Friday.